Picture the worst group project you ever worked on in high school. That's the state legislature right now. The only thing they can agree on is this. I-70 signs that beg truckers to slow down. They were installed after one particularly catastrophic crash 30 years ago. I wonder how many of you remember. RTD responds to the next viewers who notice that shiny new train to Wheat Ridge can't say Wheat Ridge.
Wheat Ridge.
Colorado's candidates for president are polling a combined 0%. But I think there's a bright side. The Avs and the Nuggets share Pepsi Center for the playoffs, meaning that spilled beer at a basketball game ends up on the Avs ice. No, really. This is next. All-nighters don't work. Scientists have known that for years. College students learn it the hard way. And the state legislature learned it last night. Worked past 5 a.m., got a few hours sleep, came back, and lo and behold, they were way more productive in way less time this morning. Our politics guy, Marshall Zellinger, looks forward and back to see what happens when legislating goes late night.
Pursuant to Senate Rules 9A and 9C, I move that the time for debate on House Bill 1261 be limited to 1 hour.
That's about as nuclear as the Colorado State Legislature can get with the rules. To speed up the calendar in the middle of the night, which did not exactly work, Democrats limited debate to 1 hour per bill, which of course led to this.
I feel that it is appropriate that everyone understand the bill. Therefore, I respectfully request it be read at length.
Surprisingly, when the Senate came back into session after a few hours sleep, the calendar moved more quickly. No hard feelings. Like these two, who you'd think would not talk. In 2012, Republican Frank McNulty was the House Speaker, and Democrat Mark Ferrandino was the House Minority Leader. The bill to make civil unions legal in Colorado had the votes to pass. If only it got called up for a vote.
A member of Mark's caucus went up and made a motion that was in order but not appropriate. Maybe the way to say it.
Appropriate, just not conventional. Maybe?
Not conventional. Okay.
Yes.
It wasn't against the rules for her to do it, but it wasn't normal, and so that threw everything into a tailspin.
I move the committee rise and report.
We stand in recess.
Democrats, the minority, could not force a vote on civil unions. But this motion, normally done by the majority, was their best shot at getting a Republican who supported civil unions to call the bill up next.
That example shows the majority does have a lot of power because you can't force the majority to do something. You can stop them as minority from doing something, but it's impossible to say and force them to bring a bill up. And so we weren't able to
Although
bring...
you tried really hard.
We got as close as possible as we could on civil unions.
Civil unions would pass the next year with Mark Ferrandino in charge. I should point out the other guy on the screen. That's Frank McNulty, who is sitting on the left. Kyle, this is a good preview, perhaps, of the relationship we're going to see in the Senate between leadership on both sides. They don't like to talk, I don't think, right now. It just depends on who's who. Those two sitting together, I'm shocked that they like talking to each other. They told me they talk a lot, which is surprising coming from where they were in 2012, 2013.
Yeah, Marshall, for folks who don't remember that or weren't around, when civil unions died in the middle of the night, that was a really ugly chapter in political history in our state.
And because it had the support of some of the Republicans, and it was the lead Republican that was keeping it from being called up. So that added an extra layer. You don't have that necessarily right now. But as Frank McNulty told me, you can't recreate what happened then. These are just new issues that are going to create new things 5 years from now, perhaps.
Yeah, we wish them better luck this time. All right, thank you, Marshall. So the big tobacco lobby still exists. I honestly didn't realize that. I thought they kind of faded away after that congressional hearing where they all lined up and said that nicotine wasn't addictive. But Colorado Democrats' plan to tax tobacco products more has brought a stream of tobacco lobbyists to our capital. Big Tobacco is behind the campaign No Blank Checks for Colorado. Because blank checks for politicians are bad, am I right? And this is no small lobbying effort. Altria, the parent company of Philip Morris, has retained at least 10 lobbyists this session, including a big name, Doug Friednash. He's a former legislator who became a lobbyist, then became former Governor Hickenlooper's right-hand man, then became a lobbyist again, in a now smoke-filled revolving door. We continue to search right along with you for answers about last week's crash on I-70, where that runaway semi crashed, killing 4 people. That search for understanding led us back to 1989, to the crash that caused Colorado to put up those signs that practically beg truckers to be safe. Here's Noel Brennan.
No need to spool through archives when you know the story behind a headline.
This is the Denver Post from August 14th, 1989. And front page, crash kills 2 people, 40 horses, semi out of control.
Chris Henning doesn't need to read the rest.
It's always still very fresh, even though it was almost 30 years ago.
The spokesman for Denver Public Library was witness to the wreckage of August 13th, 1989.
The truck driver lost control as he was heading towards Dead Man's Curve, going east on I-70 near the Morrison exit.
We're investigating the possibility of a brake problem. He appeared to be going out of control down this hill here.
2 people and 40 horses killed.
It was just a gruesome sight.
It was certainly one of the worst.
Dan Hopkins was head spokesman for the Colorado Department of Highways.
It wasn't CDOT yet, but it was the predecessor to CDOT.
Dan was part of a task force created after the crash that sought solutions to runaway trucks on eastbound I-70.
And the illusion is that you're out of the mountains. You're past the truck ramp, you're done. But you're not.
Put even more plainly, don't be fooled.
Where else on the highways? I think that's what is unique. You don't see a sign that says, hey, don't be fooled, or you're not down yet.
You've read them approaching Denver on I-70.
It's everyday language. It's not a typical highway sign that's very sterile, very conforming. In fact, we had to get an exemption from the Federal Highway Administration to use these signs because they're so different.
Simple signs likely spared lives and more than one headline.
Don't be fooled.
Colorado's eye-popping signs were inspired by California's Caltrans. They put similar signs up on Donner Pass. Colorado's 2 contenders in the Democratic presidential primary got fresh poll results this morning. And there's nowhere to go but up. That is literally true because they are both at 0%. The new CNN poll has Joe Biden with a huge lead, double-digit increase from his standing in their last poll. Now, that's largely due to the fact that everybody knows Biden's name, and he's only hugged half of them. Former Governor Hickenlooper polled down at 0%, as did Senator Michael Bennet. But then again, the poll's margin of error is huge. It's like 6%. So maybe our guys are solidly in single digits, or maybe they're at -6. Not sure. Don't know how polls work. Colorado is putting its presidential primary on Super Tuesday. Now, we told you that last week. What we learned today at the official announcement is that Governor Polis also considered St. Patrick's Day. And what could have gone wrong with that? Lodo bars full of boozed up people getting fired up about politics, riding an army of scooters through the streets to go to the voting centers. Yeah, Super Tuesday's just fine. Super and sober. RTD is responding to the next viewers who noticed that their long-delayed train to Wheat Ridge has a robot announcer voice that can't say Wheat Ridge.
This is the G line to Wheat Ridge, Ward Station.
RTD is blaming its partner on the train project. Denver Transit Partners said they gave them a script and it got messed up after that. I am certain that RTD will get it up and running well in no time. A few years at the very latest. On tonight's edition of Presented Without Comment, a familiar friend of the program, Republican State Senator Vicki Marble of Fort Collins, the legislator known for such show-stopping, jaw-dropping comments as her claim that problems in the black race are due to fried chicken and that Mexicans have health issues because they don't eat vegetables. Senator Marble occasionally branches outside of her keen racial insights to engage in statecraft. Literally, she suggested crafting a new state out of northern Colorado. Here is Senator Marble last night on wind turbines.
Let's talk about those wind turbines and how really environmentally friendly they are, grinding up all the birds and bats and bees, and yet we don't care because it's renewable and it's green. So let's kill the birds and let's destroy our wonderful wildlife.
She knows what wind turbines are like. They're like 1/10 of 1% of bird deaths.
You're not supposed to comment.
Okay. This is Presented Without Comment. Hey, how about another reminder for everybody that this is not how you Colorado. Be better, people. Somebody stole the bronze sculpture of a bear and tree from the Grange Creek Trail in North Glen. And police are kind of stumped as to how the thieves did it, because the tree weighs 700 pounds, the bear's another several hundred pounds. Nobody steals that thing, doesn't brag about it. Let's turn them in, North Glen PD.
Not a lot lot of snow, but a lot of cold, and under mostly cloudy skies we've held in the 30s all afternoon. Sun's coming out the Continental Divide. It's actually been warmer in the mountains than down here in Denver. We look for temperatures in the mid-60s this time of year, and we are a far cry from that number. But tomorrow, it all changes. We're tracking showers on the eastern plains, snow above 8,500 feet, and winter storm warnings remain in effect for winter driving conditions on I-70. One storm has passed us by, another one moving through tonight, and once this low off to the west moves through tomorrow, we're finally going to see a shift in the pattern that'll get back to, well, sunshine and 70s, the weather that we've come to love and expect this time of year. And so a few rain showers in the city tonight, a bit of fog on the plains. Snow redevelops in the mountains tomorrow morning, and we see another round of showers here in Denver this time tomorrow. Rain and snow 34 tonight, fog tomorrow morning, high 53, a round of showers in the afternoon, and then sunshine and 70s heading into the weekend.
Kathy, thanks. This is an automated daily reminder that the voice of RTD's new G-Line train to Wheat Ridge can't pronounce. Wheat Ridge, what a loser. Get a new robot RTD.
Nuggets, abs, nuggets, abs. We watch it, they work it. How they flip Pepsi Center back and forth and back and forth.
I always like to say Denver feels like it's in its 30s now. Has its stuff together and it's starting to feel confident.
And listen, this is a cool place to be, but we have one bad habit. Next.
I would like to issue a public apology for throwing shade on Steve Stager's hockey playoff beard, which now looks like more than shade on his face. So as a peace offering, I invite you to join me in backing up our man Steve, who is locked in a friendly Twitter competition with Vic Vela from Colorado Public Radio over who's the bigger homer in Denver sports. Vic's a Nuggets guy. You know nothing beats Steve's cultish fascination with the Avs. You can vote in Steve's Twitter feed. Steve's out at Pepsi, where they're doing this wild, crazy playoff switch. Basketball one night, hockey the other night, and then back again.
Yeah, Kyle, it's kind of wild what they have to go through. By the way, I don't know what Vic is talking about the whole homer thing, but oh well. Hey, we're up here in an area they call the Ledge. This is where all the folks who produced the game put the game together. I'm going to show you something cool up here in just a minute, but first, here's what happens behind the scenes.
I mean, it truly is a show. I mean, there's a producer, there's directors, there's an entire control room.
And all these folks are working OT in the playoffs to make this building rock. Pepsi Center literally lights up for the playoffs, and the technology behind it is pretty cool.
Up in the catwalk there's a bunch of RF transponders that are sending signal to these, and it's all controlled through a lighting board.
That's the show fans will see. But there's another one that goes on when the games are over.
This is our basketball floor. This is, it's all like a male-female system. You put it in, close it, and that's how it goes.
Matt Minona and his 22-member team can turn hardwood into ice in around 3 hours. Doing it the other way takes a little more time.
And then you also have 233 pieces of basketball court that need to go down, all being done in roughly 4 hours with about 20 to 22 workers.
They do it right most of the time.
There has been times where the lines don't match up and you have to, they're just off a little bit and you have to rip up and do it. But that was a long time ago.
Having hardwood over ice has got to be frustrating for the guy who takes care of the ice, though, right?
It doesn't drive me nuts. I do like to have the ice exposed as much as possible, but we do have a great thermal floor that protects the ice.
Tony says he's got a different pet peeve.
What I get upset about is that the patrons spill during a Nuggets game, and those spills will actually hit the ice, and then we have to clean those up. Yeah, we actually will find frozen beer, frozen wine. It's more of a slush because alcohol won't freeze solid.
And that's nice, so they can actually kind of wipe that clean off the ice before they get the resurfacing and everything going on to get the ice ready. I want to show you something really cool. If you've ever been to an Avalanche game, you see them score, you hear Alan Roach make that big booming announcement about who scored the goal, then you hear this little voice say this cool adjective. That's a computer. They call him Harry. It's actually just a computer that's on dictionary.com, queued up to a bunch of different words, and all they do is click, Kyle, the pronunciation button. Listen to this. Spectacular. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. It's just dictionary.com. They're like, awesome. That is absolutely wild. Okay, Steve, the one question I had when I heard you were doing this story today, can they mess with the temperature in that place to preserve the ice? Like, is it colder for Nuggets games than it would be at another NBA arena?
So they actually have this down to a science. This is really interesting for a hockey game especially. They have a set temperature of the building before anyone's here. It's 58 degrees, and they say it always goes up 6 degrees, no matter what. That's the crowd temperature. So they're fighting that through the first period, the second period. By the end of the third period, they have it right in that sweet spot, which they say is about 62 degrees.
I bet you if we make the finals, we can get it hotter than that. All right, thanks, Steve.
Is this where we robots can audition to be the voice of RTD? Wheat Ridge, Wheat Ridge, Wheat Ridge. Now give me my money.
See, they could use that one. That's a good one. We found that one on Google. Restaurants in Denver are signing up for a new city program to track and then reduce how much food they're wasting. But you got to know, most food waste, it comes from our homes. So our Lori Lizarraga asked the guy who's advising Denver's restaurants on how we could do better at home.
Today, we're talking food waste.
I think we are so spoiled with having everything we want when we want it and then disposing of it and never seeing it again.
Restaurants generate 25% of Denver's food waste.
The garbage is just a crime for it to end up in.
But that is second to households. Believe it or not, 41% of all of Denver's food waste comes from you and me. Yes, you. So we talked to Justin Cucci, a guy who's been on the forefront of minimizing food waste in the Denver restaurant game for over 10 years. Lesson 1, just do it.
Start today. Don't make excuses. Don't wait, and just do something today.
Lesson 2.
A lot of people are instantly turned off by that Best Buy date. But I promise you that food goes a long way.
Justin swears up and down food goes a lot further than that pesky sell-by date.
I think at the end of the day, I would say, use your nose and taste it.
Test those waters. But we cannot be held responsible for what goes wrong on this front. Lesson 3, reusable containers.
Invest a couple dollars and get something cool so it represents you so you don't feel like you're your aunt.
Apparently cool Tupperware exists. Finally, if you need more incentive other than the future of our planet, Justin leaves us with this.
The old Santa was watching you when you were doing other things. Now he knows when you're wasting. So if you want presents and you want to have a good Christmas,
for next,
don't waste and start composting. You'll get more presents.
I'm Lori Lizarraga.
Don't waste. Do you think when he wears the sunglasses, he puts the other glasses up top? That was kind of cool. Hey, grab a gallon of month-old milk and settle in. Your feedback is next. Shirley says she remembers the 1989 crash in Noel Brennan's story. Not an accident that one forgets, she wrote to us. The signs have no doubt saved many lives. Thank you, CDOT. John Ariano writes in, I-70 coming into Denver West could use one more runaway truck ramp. Your forum is a great place to start the conversation. I agree, John. We've brought that up. There's a lot of factors at play. CDOT says they're going to look at it after their initial investigation of that crash last week. We're going to be talking about the safety for other drivers and who owns the property and so forth. But you're onto the right idea, and we're going to talk about it here. See you next time.